This is a video on how to make a bike helmet in Fusion 360. So to begin with, I'm going to go up to the create up here. I'm going to hit create form. We're going to go to this bit here, and under the drop down I'm going to hit quad ball. It's going to come up with a load of planes. Doesn't matter which plane you use, just put it on any one of them. So then you can either drag it out here on the slider to get the size you want, or if you've got precise size you can just type it in and come up with there. One thing you'll probably have is you'll have symmetry off. I've just put it on for this, so then I only have to do half the work because I want it to be symmetrical. But obviously if you want a random shape, then I'll just leave it off. So yeah, that's all good. I'm going to hit OK then. So then, as you can see, when I select part of it, the other half is going to do it as well. So then I'm just going to do this. So I actually don't want it to be this way, I want it to be like this. So this is going to be the back of the helmet, and this is going to be the front of mine. What I'm going to do now is select this point here. You can either go to modify up here and then do edit form to move this point around, or much quicker way is if you hold down shift and then right click, you're going to come up with this menu. You're going to edit form just here, and then once we've got that, we can then just start dragging it. You can move it to whatever shape you want, to be honest. Just move that forward. We're just going to make it, I'm going to move the sides here, and as you can see, because I've got the symmetry on, they're both moving at the same time, and once I've got that, I can then just start rounding it off, basically create whatever shape you want. So then once I've done that, I'm then going to select these 2 points here. So I'm just holding down shift and then left clicking to select multiple points, and then there's two effects you can create with this. You can either just drag it down, and as you can see, the front bit moves with it. It's a very fluid shape, but it doesn't look great, so I don't want that. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm going to hold down Alt, and then I'm going to move it down, and then as you can see, it's a much more precise shape that we're creating here. So again, I'm just going to move this down ever so slightly, so then it's a bit more to it. I'm going to do modify, and I'm going to do insert point, and I'm going to add it from here to here. Enter, and as you can see, it now makes a much more of a curve shape. So obviously you can add way more if you want very precise curve, or if you just want it nice and fluid, just leave it as a 1. So I'm actually going to turn symmetry off now, so we're going to clear the symmetry, select the shape. So then for this next bit, because as you can see at the back we have it as pointed, we want it to be nice and curved. So what we're going to do is select this point here. Again, we're going to do edit form. We're just going to move it to one side, real basic, and then once we've done that, we're then going to do the weld tool, so weld vertices here. I'm just going to select these 2 points here, and what that's done is that's just curved it, very nice. OK, or enter, and then that is going to be the basic shape of our helmet. So we're just going to hit finish form. So now that we have this shape here, we're now going to create the next bit. So we're going to go to create form again, and under this drop down list we're now going to hit face. So we're going to make sure that object snap is on here, so it's going to snap to the object, and then we're literally just going to draw a really simple box. Doesn't have to be precise or anything. OK or enter, and then once we've got this, we're then going to go to edit form again, and we have to make sure object snap is on over here, so then it's going to follow the shape of the helmet. And then what we're going to do, you can either drag it out if you want to make it bigger or smaller, move it around, whatever. But what we want to do, we're going to hold down Alt and then do it, so then it's going to create another one. And then we're literally just going to move this around the shape. Make it really simple. Just making a really simple shape, but as you can see, it follows the form of the helmet. And then I'm just going to go around like that. As you can see, that bit there is the point. It went a bit thin, so basically you just grab one of the points and then you can just drag it back up again. Really simple. You can edit everything afterwards as well if you want to make it more precise. And then and then we're just going to select this face and then carry on. There we go. So really simple, and we just got it following around the edge there. So again, if you wanted to make it all the points larger, you can just select all of them. I'm just holding down the shift button to select all of them, and then we can just drag them up, drag them down, however you want it to look. So then the next bit we're going to create another face, again making sure object snap is on, and we're just going to do it roughly here. So to create another one, Okay, that's all good. And then we're going to edit form again, making sure object snap, it should remain on, but if it doesn't, just make sure. And then we're just going to move this up, drag it around. We're just going to make a really simple curve here. Can be whatever shape you want, this is just an example. Okay, so now once we've got this basic shape here, what we're going to do, we want to merge this face to this face here, so we're going to select it, we're going to do modify, we're going to go merge edge, so then that's the first one that's selecting, and then we're going to go to group 2, which is the one we want to merge it to, which is going to be this one here. I'm going to hit OK, and as you can see it then merges it together. And again, if you want, you can just edit this point here, move it along, make it thinner, make it whatever shape you want basically. So then once we've done that, we're then just going to do the same to here, so modify, merge edge, select one. That's if this one isn't already selected, literally the first thing that will pop up is this, then we want to select it there, select edge 2, this one here. Okay, that's all good. You now have a basic shape here. So once you've done that, if for some reason some of your points aren't sticking to the surface as well as it should be, if you go under modify and you do pool, it just comes up with all these points. Just select all of them. If you're midway through the project and you're working on this edge and that edge there, you want to go and select selection filters and select through. That will probably be ticked off. If you put it on, it will then, no matter where you are, it will still select all of them. It goes all the way through, and you just want to hit OK, and then if it's not on the surface, it will just correct itself. So that's basically the basic on how to do it, and then from here you can literally just edit your points. Remember to hold Alt and then move them, just create whatever shape you want basically. Just go around. I'll time lapse this of me just making this really simple shape. You can follow along, do whatever, make your own shape. Okay, I've now created the rough shape that we want. It's not great, but it will do. So now what we're going to do is, before we finish the form, we're actually going to copy this model and then paste it. So then what this is going to do is, now when we start working on this next bit, this will be the interior. I'll just place it down there. So this will be the interior and this one will be the exterior. So then we're going to work into this one, and what we're going to do here, we're going to do modify, we're going to go to thicken, and it's basically, if the arrow's pointing inwards, just drag it so it's pointing outwards, and again you can either move with the slider or just type in number you want. I'm just going for 15 with this, so it's a nice shape. So once we have this, we can then start to finish the form. And you want to just double check when you turn this off, you still have this initial base one here, so that's all good. And we're going to turn it off and we're going to work on this. So now the other things you want to do, actually we're going to go back into this one. So to edit the form, just go back down here, double click on it, and then it will open up this again. So what I'm actually going to show you is how to make a little crease in the surface. So what I'm actually going to do, I'm just going to, if you hold shift and then click the first one, then double click the last one, it will then follow a nice line. So we're going to go, and then I'm going to do subdivide. So I'm going to get all these, it's going to divide it into all these different sections, but I just want it to divide it along here. So I'm going to hit OK. And then what I'm going to do, I'm going to again hold down shift, double click, and I'm going to edit this point here. Now remember, object snap has to be turned off for this, otherwise it will go absolutely crazy when you go to move the point inwards. But as you can see, we can just drag this point, and then it starts to move inwards. You can have it really thin, or just really shallow. I can do a tiny bit here, just so you can see what it's like. And again, you can go and edit that even further if you'd like to. Other places you can edit it are, say, on the back here. We're going to insert a point here, and I'm going to go up to there. That's all good. Let's change that slightly. It's probably best to do this before you thicken it. I'm just going to move that back. And then what we can do here, so when we edit this point, if we go into, you can either just drag this point out, and then obviously you have a point there. If you really want, you can put on soft modifications, and then it will change everything next to it as well. If you want a bit softer, just play around with that basically. Once you're happy with it, you can go and put the little divot that we put in here. You can put it on all of them if you want, whatever shape you want. I'm just going to do it for one, just so we can see what it's like. And then another cool feature that you can do is we're going to add on a little surface that's going to go from here to here, but it's not just going to be the same thickness, it's going to be a slightly smaller thickness. So we're going to go to modify, we're going to go to subdivide, and I just want it to be 1 and 3. So we now have 3 bits here, and we're gonna put it onto this one here. So again, subdivide 1 and 3. That's all good. And then I actually want it to be 2/3 of the thing. So I'm gonna delete this initial one here, delete this initial one here, and then what we're gonna do, we're gonna bridge the two together. So we're gonna select it, modify bridge, and then select first place, second place, and then as you can see here, it's actually twisted, so sometimes when you flip it, it corrects itself, or if it doesn't, you can literally just select the point, select a different point along there, and it should correct itself. So then if we hit OK on that, it then creates a nice curved shape, and as you can see, it's only 2/3 of the way along, but it looks nice and good. And then once we've got that, we'll just finish the form. If it does come up with a message saying there's something wrong, like the stress points are too much, if we go back into it, before you finish it, if you select everything, go into utility and go repair body, as you can see, these stress points here might be a bit too much, so then you can put the wheel tolerance, whatever you want really. I put mine as 0.05, and you can do auto repair, and it's just going to fix everything for you. Then you hit OK, finish form, and everything should be good. If it still comes out with red points, it will show you where the red point is, where the stress point is, and then you can literally just drag the point, move it about a bit. Normally it just requires a tiny bit of tweaking, and then everything will work. So again, you can go put this on different points of the model. I'm just going to do it for one for now, so then it's a bit quicker. And then once you've done this, we are then going to select these points here. I'm going to hit F, which is basically going to fillet it. You can either go under modify and find it there, and then it's going to select all the edges for you, and you just want to hit whatever number of thickness you want. So I'm going to have it as 3. There we go. 3, and as you can see, it just rounds it off. So if you have a bigger number, then obviously it's going to round it off more. I'm just going to leave it for 3 now. Hit enter, and then instead of having these sharp edges, you then have a nice smooth surface. So I'm just going to select all these points, 3, and it's just going to fillet them for me. Again, you just F whatever number you want it to be. Okay, so now everything is filleted. We're pretty much there. So what we want to do now is you want to make this underside visible and this bit not, and we are just going to select this. We're going to scale it to 0.99, just so basically it's inside the helmet and not exactly on the same surface, so when we put the textures in, it will be slightly different. So yeah, and then if we want to change the texture for it, you can go to model, go to render, and then it's going to go into this bit here, and you want to go to appearance, and then once you click appearance it then pop up here, and now you can choose from any of these lists here. I'm literally just going to go into something really quick and simple like foam, polystyrene, and then you just click and drag it on. If you did want to change the color of it but you like the texture, go click edit, then go advanced, and then once you've done that you've got images here. If you left click here, it comes up with color. You can then choose the color that you want. So say you want it to be, I don't know, green on the inside or something, you can then do that, and then that's going to be green. So if we then show this outside one, and we're going to make this obviously play around with different let's just go for this, with different materials on here. There's loads, I'm not going to go through all of them, and then once you've done that, you should then have pretty much finished. The only other thing I would say you can add to it is then if you go back into the model and put insert and then put decal. So this is, you can basically select an image that you want. So you select an image, and then we are just going to go for this koala bear right here, and then whichever face click it on, you then have a nice little sticker. And then if you want to scale it up, it's then going to automatically go around the edges for you, which is nice, especially on the curve sections. So you can actually just add whatever you want, hit OK. I'll just add another one in here. One thing I would say with these images here, some of them you have to make sure there's no background to it. You can do that in Photoshop really easy, just get rid of the background, or just find an image with no background on it. Otherwise you will have the bad bit. Unless you want a nice square image or something, then obviously go for that. But in most cases I think it looks, for this type of thing, it looks good without it. And we're just going to insert this in here. To get these images, I literally just typed in sticker no image, no background into Google, and it came up with these. Just gonna have a really basic. So then all we've got to do now is go into the model, hit render. You can either do, so I need to save design first. Save. So you might have to wait a little bit for the render to happen. If you're doing it this way, you can do an in-canvas render though. So then you basically choose which angle you want it to be. So say, let's say we want this one, and then you can choose here how fine you want it to be. So you can put it on infinite and it just keep making the model better. But this is very dependent on your computer and how much it can take. So obviously a better computer, the faster it will do it. If not, go under the render settings, and then under there you can do it under the cloud, so then it will send it off and Autodesk will render it for you, and then they'll send an image back to you. So obviously you can play around the settings. If you're doing a local render, you can literally just wait for it to do that, and then we can just take a little screenshot of this quick, and then there you go, there's your image for you. Obviously the longer you wait, the better the image will be. The other way to do that is to, under there, render, you have to wait for, so you can just literally just screenshot from this. If you want to do their render, you have to wait for the image to load into the cloud, which may take a while, but once that's finished, I'll then show you how to render with the cloud. Okay, so if you actually had the problem before where it said it's waiting to upload to the cloud, you can either just wait a little bit because it is actually uploading, or if you just hit save again, sometimes it fixes it straight away. And you can then go under the render settings here. So this is if you just want to hit render, do other stuff, and it's not going to affect your computer at all. It's going to load into here, so you can do a cloud render, and we can do a standard one because we don't want it to be, I don't want it to take too long basically. You can again go under local render, choose the advanced settings and stuff, cloud render, and then what that's going to do is going to take this image here, it's going to, Autodesk is going to go do it for you, and then it will appear in the bottom here. So we're just going to wait for them to do that, and as you said, it said less than 20 minutes, so within 20 minutes I'll come back and it should be done. So I've come back after about 10 minutes or so, and the image has been rendered. It's been sent back to me, so we just open it up, wait for it to load, and there we go, we have your image for you. So that's the one they've sent back. Another thing I did was, so I went back and did an in-canvas render, and what I did, I just went into scene setup, and you can change the brightness, reflections, ground plate. You can just play around with a bunch of the settings there, so you can come up with different things. Obviously probably don't want to change the brightness too much, you want to keep it as it is. Focal length, whatever you want. So I've got reflections on. I think if your computer can do it, I'd definitely say do the in-canvas render, it's much quicker. If not, then obviously just do the cloud render. Just try and make sure you get the shots you want of it beforehand, so you're not wasting time waiting for it to come back and then realizing it's not what you want. Other than that, that is a video on how to make a very simple bike helmet in Fusion 360. Hope you enjoyed.